Welcome back to our video series about binary options. In this video, we're going to learn the basics of equity earnings announcements and how to use binary options to profit from these volatile and very profitable events. Every company announces financial results to the market. For U.S. companies, this is typically 4 times per year. The company is required to disclose publicly and in advance when it plans to announce these official results, and you can find this information in many places. Yahoo Finance has this information for each company and for the market as a whole. Many other financial sites have this information as well. You can find it at earnings.com, finviz.com, briefings.com, and many other information sources. In addition to their regularly scheduled results, companies typically issue guidance as to future expected performance, and they can update guidance whenever they feel market conditions have changed. For example, retail companies will announce sales numbers monthly. When we talk about trading earnings, we typically mean trading the stock either immediately before or immediately after the official earnings announcements. There are 2 types of earnings strategies. One strategy attempts to predict whether earnings will be better or worse than expected, and therefore profit from the news on the announcement. The other type of strategy attempts to piggyback on the earnings announcement and profit on the direction and/or magnitude of the movement in the stock after the earnings announcement. And these types of traders won't take a position until after the earnings has been announced. Earnings announcements can cause significant volatility in the stock because shareholders want to own companies that are more successful than expected, and a company that misses expectations will likely see its shares fall significantly. Because of this volatility, companies typically announce earnings outside of market hours, that is, before the market opens or after the market closes. In addition, most companies do a conference call to discuss results. Both the headline numbers and the conference call have the ability to move the stock significantly. So the first thing to do when you're trading earnings is to cross-reference the list of available equity assets with the earnings database and keep a list of expected earnings announcements dates. If you use Bank to Binary, so here's the Bank to Binary trading screen, and if you click on Stocks and then click on this tab here, up will come a list of all the stocks that you can choose as your underlying assets. You can see that most of these are European names. Here's the OptiMarkets trading screen. And if you click on stocks, again, you can see a complete list of the underlying stocks that OptiMarkets offers. OptiMarkets offers a significant list of international stocks, including some European names as well as a lot of American names. I prefer to use OptiMarkets for equities because I trade mostly U.S. names, and OptiMarkets has a bigger selection of U.S. stocks. You really want to trade stocks that you know for earnings plays, and you want to, if you can, trade stocks that announce earnings in your local time zone or at a time when you'll be awake and in tune with what's going on with that market. As an example, Apple is a very liquid stock within the U.S. Here's a list of the options which are currently available on Apple, with 2 different expiration times, a 10:30 and an 11 o'clock. Now it's currently 10:06. If we looked a little bit earlier, we would have had a 10 o'clock choice as well. If we want to be able to trade earnings announcements on Apple, we first need to know when the earnings are expected. So let's go back to Yahoo Finance. You can see that the next earnings date is expected on July 22nd. You can also find this information at finviz.com, as well as many other sites that provide financial information. Binary options can be a great tool for trading earnings because they allow you to capture the momentum on the stock on a short-term basis. Binary options on equities are typically only available during market hours, and earnings announcements are always outside of market hours, so you'll not be able to trade the immediate reaction to the news in the after-hours market. However, in the aftermarket, there's not a lot of liquidity typically. And so trading in the aftermarket can be very, very risky. Once the market opens, you'll be able to trade the movement using binary options. Typically, the biggest move does come on the announcement, but this is again why we like to use binary options. Because with binary options, you just need to get the direction right. You don't have to worry about the magnitude of the move. You don't need to capture that big move in order to make big money. You just need to pick the right direction for the stock to move once the market opens. You know your risk and your payout before you get into the trade. There's no mystery. So in general, when you're trading earnings announcements, you want to look for a big move in the stock right as the news is announced. You're not getting involved then. That's just one of the triggers for when you know it's going to be a good earnings to trade. When the stock moves big, this means it's big news and market participants will be rushing in to buy moves higher or sell moves lower once the market opens. So the strategy is pretty simple. If there's a big move in the after hours, between 5 and 10%, depending on the stock, the industry, if it moves 5 to 10% on the news, you want to buy the binary calls right at the open as soon as possible. If the stock was down significantly, you want to buy binary puts. And you want the option to expire as soon as possible after the earnings, because you're really just looking to capture that immediate momentum of the news on the announcement. The expiration times are going to depend on your broker. Some of them will allow you an earlier expiration than others. So take a look at your broker's expiration times and try to pick the soonest possible expiration. When you're trading earnings, you always want to be aware of the conference call time, and if it occurs during the trading day, you want to listen to it. This shouldn't be too difficult from a time management standpoint because most binary options brokers only offer options on the most liquid U.S. equities. There aren't too many situations where you'll have multiple conference calls going on at once. Some conference calls will take place outside of market hours, so you'll have time to either listen to the conference call or just watch the price action in the aftermarket and the pre-market. If the call is during market hours, you probably want to avoid buying binary puts that expire during or after the end of the call. The reason is that rarely does management do a terrible job of discussing earnings. The conference call is management's opportunity to explain bad results, cheerlead good results, and in general promote the company and the stock. This usually has a positive impact on the stock, so you want to use caution if you're long binary puts. With practice, you'll be able to profit significantly from earnings announcements using binary options. I hope you're able to add this to your binary options trading strategy.